Welcome to Indivisible. I'm your host, John Stubbins. Thanks for joining us tonight, America. Got a great show here. I want to start by talking about a few things. Anti-Semitism, it's on the rise. If you're paying attention in the news, you know this. It's been going on. It's been rising, increasing. The left smears, demonizes anyone who disagrees with them or their opinion or their philosophy on wanting to bring a communist government or Antifa marching in the streets. And our kids, they're being indoctrinated to hate our president, to believe, they want to make kids, young boys believe that they're girls, or girls believe that they're boys, or, these transgender athletes that are male that are going over to female sports and, winning awards that females should be winning. Now the girls are getting upset about it. Everybody saw this coming. And hate is being taught by a huge majority of these leftist professors, even to hate America. We see riots, physical violence by the left to silence conservatives or Christians or Jews on campus. So we've witnessed video after video of these spoiled brats interfering with free speech on college campuses, throwing temper tantrums, breaking windows, rioting to stop speakers from speaking that they don't agree with. Thugs, punching conservatives in the face simply for having a table set up on campus where they're handing out pamphlets or giving out information on, another viewpoint, or anyone wanting the facts, wanting to learn a different truth than what they're being told. If the left refuses to stop this, okay, and we've been talking about this, Hannity talks about it, Tucker Carlson, Laura Ingraham, you hear it all the time. If the left refuses to stop this type of behavior and it doesn't allow police to arrest these people, then funding to these public universities by the government, our tax dollars, has to stop, okay? There has to be a point where the rubber meets the road and we stop allowing this. Funding it allows it. It's just one way to allow it. When Maxine Waters or Eric Holder or Obama or Hillary Clinton or Omar Tlaib, all these other people, they tell their followers to get in people's face, not allow them to speak, disrupt them. And they do it in restaurants. You've seen it everywhere, whether it was Betsy DeVos or, Ted Cruz at a restaurant or, Miss Huckabee. When they do that, you need to get up and you need to talk louder, okay? Because being silent, sitting on your hands, staying out of the game and being intimidated is not the answer. And these people obviously don't understand what the First Amendment is, what it means. My guest tonight is a young man by the name of Timothy Barone. He's a biochemist student at Boston University. And he told me his constitutional rights have been violated there on campus simply because he's a conservative and a Trump supporter. Welcome to the show, Timothy.
Hello.
Thanks for coming on. Obviously, when I met you and you told me this story, it really disturbed me. And I know that our viewers want to know about your story. Can you tell us what happened to you?
Well, sure. Yeah. Well, thanks for having me on. Well, basically, I grew up in Boston, and my whole family either worked or went to classes at Boston University. My father actually taught there as a MIT professor. Well, he graduated from MIT, and he went to Boston University as a professor My brother did his med school there. My other brother did undergrad. I did cancer research when I first finished my undergrad, and my grandfather went there in 1927 for his business degree. Now, I went to LA. I came back. I wanted to work on a international business law degree, and I was taking as many classes as I could. I think it's important to do clubs and groups on campus, and that's why I was part of YAF, Young American Foundation, Turning Point USA, Young Republican Club, and also I'm French and Italian, so it's Italian, French, German, all these clubs. And the conservative clubs, they loved having anyone from any age. They want you to come back. They want you to learn, keep improving yourself. But a few clubs would be a little bit discriminatory, and I didn't really get it at first. But I was at this French club, and the reason I was at the French club is they met pretty much once a month, which was more than anyone else. And basically, after one of the girls I spoke to on Facebook, I looked at my Facebook. She started spouting off saying like, "Oh my God, you hate women, you hate minorities, and you're crazy for supporting the Second Amendment." And I said, well, first, that's not true. I think everyone should get paid for, regardless of whatever gender you get, whatever you produce, you get paid. Like Trump hired one of the first women to helm the Trump Tower campaign, and he says, "Hey,
Sure.
you make me money, and I don't care what your gender is." Same thing. I says, for minorities, I said, if you come into the country legally, great. And the last thing on Second Amendment, I said, criminals don't follow the law, so that's to protect
That's
ourselves
right.
against that, and it's to protect ourselves against tyranny. And I said, if you want to talk about it, that's great. If you don't want to talk about it, that's great too. And then I blocked her on our Facebook. Anyways, the next time I went to a meeting, the president of the club was a little bit like, "Well, I don't know, you have too much experience," and I said, "Well, you can't discriminate against me for my age, because actually at BU, 36.3% of students at BU are 24 years or older, so it's a full third." And so, anyways, then finally, the next club meeting I went to was a movie night. French movie night is great. Like, you don't have to if your French isn't perfect, you can get involved and hang out with everyone. And I'd gone to it before, and I got a Google Doc invite. I RSVP'd 3 times just to make sure. Like once when I wasn't sure I was going, and then like a couple hours before I went to the meeting. And then, anyways, that night it was raining. I ended up walking a mile and a half with a bunch of books. I got to the building, which has some people living in it, so you have to get signed in. They were supposed to sign me in. They said, "Well, we're not signing you in." I'm like, "Well, that's discriminatory. If you have an actual problem of something I did, let me know specifically. I haven't tried to date anyone. I was just there for classes and for French club."
Okay.
And they refused me to go in. I called one of the deans. They didn't help me, the dean of clubs. And so I said, "Well, I'm not gonna." I was even offered by the vice president of YAF. He came out of the building. He said, I can sign you in, and you can go in if you want." I said, "No, I'm not gonna gate crash. I'm just gonna sit in the lobby, and I'm gonna write, my school within BU, the night school, and continuing education, and anyone I can. And then when the meeting is over, I'll leave 2 hours later, like I was planning to. Peaceful protest, nothing of that." Well, basically, I did that. I left in the rain. Got my ride at like 8:30, and then like 4 days later, I get a bunch of university stay-away orders from 2 girls I've never met before, and then the president of the French club, and then the girl I spoke to on Facebook. Like I said, I didn't try and change her mind. I just said, "These are the facts. This is what it is." And I immediately went to our judicial affairs the next day. I said, "This is not right. This allows them to basically follow me around, and if they follow me and I'm anywhere, I get suspended. It's my fault. If I'm at the gym, if I'm at the place where I have a meal plan, I had a giant meal plan at a place called Warren Towers. It's the largest housing facility on the East Coast, non-military. And I went there with my father when I was a kid. I went there when I was doing cancer research, but it would be my fault, and I would get suspended. Basically, they found my patterns. They followed me around. They got me suspended. I got it unsuspended last summer. And then once again, I was going to the gym, and I found out only through them writing to me or judicial affairs that they said, "Oh, well, you were in the gym when these girls showed up." I got swiped into the gym at like 4:30, and 2 hours later they showed up and found me and kind of cornered me. And I called the Boston University police and said, "What should I do?" And they said, "Stay there." And they said, "Well, once they get there, they interview me. They said, the girls aren't here. You're fine. Go home or continue working out." And it's just been nonstop. Like I said, they find out what I'm doing, and then they follow me, and it's my fault. And I told judicial affairs, I said, "Listen, I don't want to talk to them. There's 30,000 students, 15,000 of them are girls or women. I'm not trying to date anyone. I don't need to talk to them. Make it reciprocal. If they talk to me, it's their fault. If I talk to them, it's their fault. Or it's my fault if I talk to them, you know what I mean? And they wouldn't do that. The judicial affairs wouldn't give me equal rights. They wouldn't give me anything. They just took their word and just said that you came to the club and they don't like you. And I worked with the YAF general counsel, and he said, yes, you're using this as a loophole because you're conservative beliefs and also for your age, which is Title IX. Because if they said that they didn't like my age, then that would be a violation of Title IX and they would lose a lot of funding. But they can't say that, so they'll say, well, we don't like him, he's whatever, and they'll make up some kind of narrative. And I've not tried to date any of them. I've not tried anything. And it's just continued forward to that, even into October of last year. The president followed me to 74 buildings at BU. Every first day of the week, my group, Young Americans for Freedom or for Foundation, would have her meeting at a building called the Equestrian Building, a business building. And she staked out the entrance. And I didn't even know she was there until a month later. She wrote that, oh my God, he followed me to this building. And I'm like, I go there every week. I didn't even know you were there until you wrote this thing. And it's just gotten worse from there. Now I'm like suspended again. I can't even, go anywhere on Boston University campus or property. And they just won't even listen to basic reason. Just give me equal rights. I'm like, just have them stay away from me. I don't need to talk to them. Don't come to my meetings. That we were having a debate club meeting. It was the one of the DNC's meeting, I think October 15th, and I ordered pizza. I did all this stuff, and it's just walking around with a sword of Damocles around my head for the last year. So.
Boy, I tell you, it sounds very frustrating, number one, and just insane, but I believe it. We're going to take a quick break, America. We'll be right back. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. We're talking with Timothy Barone and continuing the conversation, Timothy. My next logical question would be, you said this is going on now for about a year, right?
Right. Since March 21st, 2018 was, or 19 was when we had that meeting that I wasn't allowed to go to. And I was never given a reason why. I just, I said, give me a reason and we can talk about it.
So right now, as of today, you're suspended.
Right, yeah. And I've gone to the dean. I've asked for recourse. I just said, make things reciprocal. I don't need to talk to them. They don't need to talk to me. But they don't care. They just took these 4 girls' side. 2 of them, like I said, I've never spoken to. And the other one was the former French club leader. And then there's the girl that was like totally triggered by my Facebook saying that I was this horrible person.
Have you talked to, I know you work with Turning Point USA. Have you talked to Charlie Kirk over there?
Well, I've had a few people mention a few things, and they said basically get on, what you can, media-wise, and they would kind of help me from the background.
Okay. Okay.
One quick thing I wanted to mention is I actually had 4 staff members, like big, huge, important people at BU, like the lead, the most veteran detective at BU. He was all on my side. He wasn't on sides. He said, no, you're a great guy. I've talked to you for 2 hours. I've worked here for 30 years. You're fine. I was working with him on cell phone back and forth. He's, I worked this out. All of a sudden, he's 54. The phone goes dead. He's forced retired. He's gone. I worked with the dean of theology. He said, don't worry, you're in a club. They can't kick you out unless you're doing something wrong. If you're willing to listen and they're part of the spirit of the club, you're part of the club. I went to talk to him. He jumped out of his chair. He ran into his personal bathroom and locked the door. And they one for one replaced them with 20-something super liberals that would just be like, no, you're not part of the club. You're not part of BU. You're out of here. And each one of those, even in the provost office, I was working with a lady, and she's like, no, you have rights. I'd go back there, and I'd be emailing her back and forth. All of a sudden, this 50-something provost person, great person, very neutral, all of a sudden is gone. She said, oh, she doesn't work here anymore. But you can talk to this person, and they end up being 25-year-old liberal, super liberal. I don't know. It's a pattern. They fired or replaced every single person that was working with me that was like, yes, you have rights.
Yeah, so, no. Okay, so here's what we need to do. Number one, I'd like to have you back on first. But the next time you come back on, I'd really want to have Charlie Kirk on with you because I want to find out, number one, if there's something Turning Point USA can do. And number two, do you have legal representation?
Well, I've had a friend, and I was trying to fundraise a little bit, and I've been doing mostly things pro se, meaning like representing myself, just because
Sure.
it could be like 20 grand just to have anything even looked at.
No, I understand that. I guess what I'm saying here is that, and this is why I want to bring Charlie Kirk into this discussion, because they might be able to help you through Turning Point USA, number one, especially through the media. And we'll do everything we can here on Indivisible. But at the same time, I want to find out more about the legal recourse side of this. And I've got to tell you that you trying to fight this pro se, God love you for doing it. I've done it. I understand. But this is too big for one man. Okay. And because you're so close to this situation, it's very important that you have an attorney advising you on this situation, obviously a case needs to be filed, and you need to have someone helping to watch your back, and that's also able to dig and get the information that's going to be needed for discovery in a court case. So highly important here that that we get some other people involved. So I want you to I know you're with Turning Point. I want you to get in touch with Charlie Kirk and see if he'd come on with you. And I'll bring you guys both on, and let's get this thing moving, number one, and let's get you some recourse, because this can't stand. I don't agree with it. It's disgusting. You're being railroaded. We know that. So we've got to find a way to overcome that. You let that stand, and it makes it easier for them to do this to the next person.
Oh, completely. Yeah, I know it's just wrong.
So thanks for coming on tonight, Timothy. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your story. God bless you, brother.
Yep. Thanks for having me on.
We're out of time tonight, America. Came and went pretty quickly, but we will see you tomorrow night. Thanks again for joining us.